everybody, to the Triple B Experience. I'm your host, Bad Bubba Brewer, talking about my experiences on my own podcast show. This is the episode 20 of the Triple B Experience, and you can listen to the Triple B Experience on iHeartRadio, on SoundCloud, on idiotradio.net, iTunes, iHeart again, YouTube, everything that you can listen to on your phone, you can download it and you can listen to this show. And I try to be as entertaining as I can because it's hard work being me, people. But I just want to say this is episode 20. I just want to give a shout out to everybody for all the likes and all the support that everybody's been giving me. This is hard. This is not easy, but I don't give a rat's ass. I'm just going to keep plugging away and keep trimming because actually episode 19, I actually had over 100 views on SoundCloud. So I thought that was a big accomplishment in my short, illustrious podcasting career. But also, too, I want to give it up, and give it up I shall, for the Triple B, Double D, Heavyweight Podcast Show. It's all about professional wrestling. Myself, Todd DeFazio, and Mavic, Gary DeBar McCoy, the real McCoy, Mav, he's our producer. We had our pre-Royal Rumble show, and we had over 3,700 views. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 3,700. 3,700 motherfucking views, people. I think that's huge. And it takes a lot of work. And shouts out to Gary and Todd, because Todd is the man behind the machine. I'm just a cog in the wheel, but and probably the squeaky side, I'm sure. But even though it's still something. So, and actually, I want to give you a little bit what I've been doing lately. The three of us actually opened up for a charity comedy show about approximately 2 weeks ago in Brookline, Pennsylvania, for the first ever Stepdad comedy charity show. We opened up for the show. Todd did a great job promoting it, advertising, getting sponsorship, and they raised over $5,000 for this charity for one of his friends that passed away. So hopefully, hopefully we'll do it again. I'll go down, Tammy. We had a great time, and we'll go down for the second annual. And everybody from Indiana that likes to do and listen to comedy, come on down. It was a good time. I laughed my ass off, man. Those people were funny. The last guy opened up for Dave Chappelle. I laughed my ass off. Him and the guy that lived there in the town, there was a couple people that were really, really funny. So I never tried stand up, and I don't know if I have the balls, but maybe I didn't know you could swear, and they were swearing, and it was a good time. So they did a good job. So anyway, I put a thing out on Facebook. I know the Steelers, it's the off season, and I wanted to have people ask me questions like they do, like Mark Madden does. Hey, look, I'm whatever it takes, people. They ask ask Bubba anything. So I wrote down some questions that people asked me on Facebook, and I'm going to rant and view and do a whole bunch of stuff on this show. And I'm going to get everybody's questions answered on this show because I'm gearing up for the Steelers draft. I'm gearing up for Penguin season. There's a lot of stuff. You know, WrestleMania's coming. Still working out, people. I'm still trying to live, trying to eat right. I fucking slacked during the Super Bowl like anybody would. Actually, I slacked during the comedy show, and that whole weekend I was eating pizza like it was going out of style. So all the weight I lost, I gained back. I'm slowly losing the weight, but it's hard. I'm older. I'm bigger. I just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not sitting on my ass playing video games every day, or not against video game playing, people, but I can't sit on my ass every day and not do nothing. I like the fitness Hulk Hogan jersey I got from New York City. You know what I mean? And wear that in my Captain America jersey and a couple Ben Roethlisberger jerseys I got because they're hard to fit into. But like I said, the last show I got over 100 views on SoundCloud, and that was great. But I could do more, and I'm going to do more with the Triple B Experience show and the Triple B Double D Heavyweight Podcast show, which we talk about wrestling and the fabulous Three Birds are going to be in the house this Sunday, February 15th. I know I'm going to send this out to Todd, and he's a very busy man. And once he gets this produced and get out, then you guys can hear it, download it on all your media devices that you listen to, iHeart, idiotradio.net, iTunes, everything and anything, SoundCloud, anything you can listen to. If you can listen to it on YouTube, you can get Xfinity and listen to it on your cable show. But anyway, let's get to this. Ask Bubba anything. I got questions that I wrote down so I can remember because I've had a couple concussions. Due to work and probably wrestling, I'm sure, and car wrecks in my day. So let me get to the situation where I got the paperwork written down. And my first question on Ask Bubba Anything is, how is women's pro wrestling improved over the years? By Craig Fitzpatrick. Okay, Craig. As an independent wrestling promoter many years ago, I would personally not try to book ladies wrestling. I thought there wasn't many female wrestlers at that time that had the talent, and I had to spend a lot of money because female wrestlers are a novelty and they're more expensive. And I just didn't want to deal with that at my time. But catch it, from my time to now and a couple years before that, where they had the WWF, and it was all based on, hey, ladies and gentlemen, it was based on tits and ass. You know what I mean? Based on after Wendy Richter and stuff in the 90s, it was crap. And it was, they based it on bra and panties. It was all tits and ass. They were getting in Playboy, and that's what it was. Like, it was all that. It wasn't about their athletic ability, ladies and gentlemen. It was about how big their breasts were and how skinny their ass was. You know what I mean? Like, it was about the curves. It wasn't about the moves. Okay. And now they got, the NXT, they had the movement with Charlotte Flair, Sasha, Bayley, and they have women's wrestling that they can actually wrestle. So now, instead of being in the back burner of professional wrestling shows, they have actually main evented. WrestleMania had their own pay-per-view. So to answer Craig's question, they came a long way. Like, now I would book ladies wrestling. If I was a wrestling promoter, I would do it like gangbusters, because now there are female athletes that can outshine the guys, and they do it all the time. Honestly, I don't know if I would do a wrestling show because it's very, very strenuous. And speaking of wrestling shows, Imagine Wrestling is putting on a show, the 15th and also March 7th in Blairsville, Pennsylvania. So get your tickets. Check out Imagine Wrestling for March 7th in Blairsville. There hasn't been an independent wrestling company in Indiana County since yours truly was running shows. So everybody that's a wrestling fan that listens to my show, come on down. It's Saturday at 7 o'clock. Yours truly will be in the house. I'll say hi to everybody. Everybody will have a good time and support one of the great independent professional wrestling companies going today in Central PA, and now coming to Indiana County is Imagine Wrestling. So I just wanted to get that out. That was my first question on Ask Bubba Anything. I got tons of questions. I'm not talking politics, and I'm not talking porn or I got so many. I got a couple stupid ass questions. No offense. I wasn't doing that. I'm just not doing it. I mean, I'll talk about places. I'm not going to talk about positions, people. I'm just not doing it. I mean, I could get triple X rated every day of the week, but I don't know. Hey, if my ratings go up, hey, God bless America. But I'm not going to sell my soul to do it that way. I'm just trying to be funny without being, I can be funny without getting sickly vulgar. You know what I mean? So, okay. Well, I'm going to go with this one. Next question is from Steve Montgomery. What is my opinion of the Pirates? Oh, Well, the owner doesn't want to pay anything, and I don't know if we're ever going to see a playoff caliber team in my lifetime. Bob Nutting is a fucking disgrace. And yeah, I know he owns Seven Springs and he books the Bay City Rollers and he gives away bobbleheads and shit. And you can get like all you can eat for $35, which is great and all. But honestly, me and people like me would like to go to the games and see a competitive team winning something and trying to win a championship. You know, when you win a championship, I think it'd be packed more than just having Huey Lewis and the News coming on a fucking Friday night and then skaying it with, fireworks. That's just my opinion. This is just one opinion of many opinions that I have because I try to be opinionated. People don't like what I got to say, but I'm just being honest. Like, I'm not going to go and pay a ticket. If I get free tickets, I'll go because I hate Bob Nutting. I do love the Pirates. I've loved the Pirates all my life. I just like to see them compete. You know what I mean? 20 years of losing, and they had that little bit of taste, to get in the wild card, and then they just blew the whole team up. They didn't sign anybody. They haven't signed anybody for this offseason, and that's just a disgrace in my eyes. And Bob Nutting, you're just a piece of shit. And if anybody likes Bob Nutting, you guys are crazy because Bob Nutting, it doesn't want. He might just sell the team, Bob. You know what I mean? And then just get your snow up in Seven Springs and go to town. And another question by Steve was the collapse of local Legion ball. Now, I'm going to say that Steve's probably talking about Legion ball with the young kids. And a lot of young kids, probably in my opinion, don't play sports. They probably have to work to support some kind of income because maybe their parents is not paying for their cell phone bills and their car insurance, and the kids got to go out and work, and we all did it. I mean, I played sports and I still had to work, but I think that in the area is maybe not a lot of kids are playing like Legion ball, and that's probably why. And also, maybe, just maybe, kids just like to stay home and be on the computer and not do nothing, or they don't like to play, or they don't like to participate, or they don't like to work out. I don't know. Kids nowadays, I don't know. They're soft, So I mean, they don't go out. They get a participation. They don't like win or lose. It's about winning or losing to make you a better person. Hey, you're gonna lose some and you're gonna win some. But at least if you try, that's what you get. But I'm gonna say, Steve, the Legion ball collapsed probably because it's due to local kid athletes. There's not enough of them, and that's just my opinion on that. People can differ. You can send your write-ins to badbubba77@gmail.com or contact me on the Triple B Experience Facebook site, and you can let me know your opinions about these situations that I'm talking about, because this is Ask Bubba Anything on this podcast due to I just want to do something different, just shoot from the hip. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Bad Bubba Brewer Triple B Experience, and I'm your host, Bad Bubba Brewer. And we'll get back to a second segment of Ask Bubba Anything. But like I said, you're listening to the Triple B Experience, and I'm Bad Bubba Brewer.
The Triple B Experience.
We'll return after these messages.
For all your heating and cooling needs, service, and installation, contact our friends at Complete Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning. 412-513-3001. Doesn't your family deserve complete comfort?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Triple B Experience. I'm the host, Bad Bubba Brewer, and you're listening to Ask Bubba Anything. But before we do, we go back into the questions, I just want everybody to know to tune in on my podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeart, and idiotradio.net to listen to the Triple B Experience and also the Triple B Double D Heavyweight Podcast Show, which is all about professional wrestling with myself, Todd DeFazio, and Gary DeBar, the fabulous Three Birds. And just, let you know that we got 2 shows. I got 2 great shows, and I appreciate all the support. So let's get back to Ask Bubba Anything. And this question is by Joe Betts. The XFL, good or bad? I'm going to say I believe since the XFL came back from a 20-year hiatus when it went out the first time, I don't think it was good at all. It was more pro wrestling and football, which should never mix like that. And I do believe Vince wasn't successful in that type the first time. He also wasn't successful in the bodybuilding, professional bodybuilding. So he had 2 black marks in his career of trying to start something. So I think this time, I believe the third time, I believe he will be successful. He'll keep the wrestling shit out of football, okay? And he's not. I don't see him fucking up again. He took $500 million to get this franchise and out there, all 8 franchises in the league started. I actually watched it this weekend. There was 4 games. There's 8 teams in the league in various locations throughout the United States. There is not any team in Pennsylvania. That's the only minus thing, and I don't think I could cheer for anything out of Philly anyway. That's just my opinion. The rules are different than before. The kickoff, they have the kicker and the kick returner are the only guys to be able to move. The kick return and the kickoff teams are 5 yards apart from each other. They have to block each other 5 yards apart as soon as the ball is caught, and I think it's a 3-second rule. They do that. They also switch up. You could do a double forward pass, and I did not see one last weekend when I watched all 4 games. I watched probably 85% of the XFL. They don't kick any extra points. Their extra points are based on the 1-yard line, the 2, I believe. No, the 5. The 2, the 5, and the 10. And it varies with points is 1 point at the 1 and 2 points at the 5 and 10 points for 3. So that's how they do that. The 45-second clock is down to 25. It tries to be a faster paced game, which I'm okay with that. They do a lot of sideline interviews, and they keep it football related. There's some, I don't know a lot of the players. They have some NFL, ex-NFL players. The biggest one that I know of is Landry Jones. Landry Jones, before he got signed with the XFL, was working in construction doing drywall. And this guy was making way more money than me, and he was working at fucking doing construction and tearing down drywall. So if this is a sign of redemption, that could be good for Landry Jones. He's back with his college coach, so maybe they can have the same chemistry that they had in college. I don't know. There's nothing going on right now anyway. I'm not a big basketball guy, so I will watch this XFL, and I hope Vince succeeds because it just makes opportunities for people that, hey, if they can make $50,000 to $60,000 for an 8 weeks football games and play professionally, hey, more power to them. I don't see anything wrong with it. I hope it succeeds. The only bad thing is I don't know a lot of the players. Joe, just a few of them. There's a lot of ex-Steelers on the practice team throughout the various teams in the league, the 8 teams. And then, like I said before, Landry Jones plays for, I believe, Dallas Renegades. And the bad was the Tampa Bay Vipers fluorescent green uniforms. They look like Eric Butterball's scout when he had the scout painted in the mid 80s. When we used to go out and we had the scout with a lightning bolt across it. We looked crazy, and we drove it to Pittsburgh, and people looked at us like we were crazy as shit. But I think that's too bright. Tampa Bay got their asses handed to them. So, it's okay, hey, to watch it, drink some beer. And, it's not the NFL, but it's actually, the rules, they can catch 1 foot like college rules. And I'll just give it another look. They'll have a championship, and we'll go from there. So, maybe I'll talk a little bit in my podcasts about the XFL and what team is, number one in their divisions and what team is ranked. I think it's the Dallas Renegades are the team to win the championship, I believe. So we'll have to see. But that question was brought to you by Joe Betts. So thanks, Joe. And also, I want to give a plug out to Mary's Unique Gifts, owners Aaron and Mary Dunbar. They're going to be opening up shortly. You could probably see their stuff on Facebook. But I just wanted to give a plug out to them, and also a plug to Imagine Wrestling. March 7th at the Blairsville Community Center. Go to imaginewrestling.com, get your tickets. It's going to be a good show. Yours truly will be there. The first time they had professional wrestling in Indiana County in a long time since I ran wrestling. So it should be a nice Saturday evening show, and it should be a good time. So my next question is by Jeff Booth, the status of Big Ben. He wanted me to talk about Big Ben, and anybody knows that I'm a huge fucking Big Ben fan. I'm huge. I've liked Ben since he got drafted, through his up and downs and whatever. And without Ben Roethlisberger, we wouldn't have been anywhere. He wouldn't have drove us down, beating the Cardinals in the Super Bowl. And I believe he should have been MVP. That's just my personal opinion. But actually, his arm, he's supposed to start throwing a tennis ball here pretty soon in March, and we'll go from there, and hopefully he can make it, because I like to see this year as a redemption. We're missing a piece. When I talk about Steelers, we're missing a piece with Ben, and hopefully we don't have to have Mason Rudolph and Devin Hodges behind center, and hopefully it's Big Ben Roethlisberger, but we'll know more in March. Once he can start throwing a tennis ball in modern technology, hopefully they make him fucking a Terminator, and he can come out and throw 25 touchdowns and 3,500 yards and maybe 6 interceptions. I'll go with that. Okay, so Boothie, I answered your question, and we'll talk about Big Ben as soon as I know more on the Triple B Experience. And now these questions are from Mark Golden on Ask Bubba Anything. My strip club etiquette. Well, Mark, I haven't been to a strip club in a long time. I happily not. I'm in a serious relationship, and I don't spend my money to go to strip joints anymore. But when I was single, I spent a lot of money going to strip joints, and you can't act like an asshole. They'll toss you out. I know from experience, and I also know that every stripper is not trying. Is going to be the love of your life. It's not going to happen. As long as they can perform, and I base my stuff on stripper etiquette. As long as the girls are in shape and they have a good routine and they dance, that's fine. Don't act like an asshole. And when you go there, you're going to spend a lot of money, and just they have to make money, so tip them, but don't tip them your house mortgage payments. The cocktails that I have that I drink are Captain Morgan and Coke. I used to like Jim Beam back in the day, but whiskey's real hard for me, and I used to do Crown and Mountain Dew Amp, and that was crazy too back then. He asked me a question about cooking for men. I'm not a big cook, so I can cook some eggs, but Tammy bitches because sometimes I don't use butter and I fuck up the pan. I'm not a butter person. Sue me. I just don't like butter. I'm not a communist. I just don't like butter. The best cigars, Big Garcia Vegas, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, because that's the only time I smoked stogies one time at St. Francis. And we smoked out the whole frat, and they were getting pissed off. And I remember them coming in out the door, and they wanted to chase us out. We got in a big fight. That's for another story. But that was happening. I don't smoke. I don't smoke stogies. I'm not a smoker, but I do like to smoke a stogie once in a while. So a Big Garcia Vega. The more expensive ones are good. You know how that goes. So, and he also asked me my best comedians of all time. My best comedian stand-up would be one of them is Sam Kinison. I love Sam's work. It's a shame that he passed away. He got killed on the day of his wedding, him and his wife, by a drunk driver. All his stuff was about booze and drugs and stuff, and he got killed by a drunk driver. Tragic. But Sam was a great stand-up guy, and he was funny as hell. Plus, his screams were legendary. Eddie Murphy's stand-up was good. I like Eddie Murphy and his younger stuff. Ronnie Dangerfield. And doing the roast is a funny and could cut people like a fucking knife and make them bleed and they don't even know it, would be like Don Rickles, because I've seen some of his roasting stuff and he tears into everybody, and like now it would be Dave Chappelle. Like Dave Chappelle's comedy on Netflix, you know what I mean, was phenomenal. I laughed my ass off. And I do like, but I think that's the comedy guys Robin Williams was super. I love a guy who can do impersonations, and Robin was always good at that, and he was funny as hell. But Chappelle, his stand-up, was awesome. And everybody I named was good. So hopefully to answer your question, Mark. And also greatest guy movies. Mark's asked a ton of questions. I'm going to try to get, with this segment. Greatest guy movies to me would be Rocky because I'm Italian. It's a great story of a guy who gets the shit kicked out of him. It goes and fights the champ and turns into whatever. So they had a whole franchise. But the first Rocky is something. The Godfather, when you just want to, the family gets fucked over and you want to fuck somebody up. The Godfather, you can't be faint of heart with The Godfather. Let's just say Predator and Terminator, Schwarzenegger's movies. He's getting his ass beat by the Predator, but he comes back and, it's great on Blu-ray. And then the Terminator, when he just fucking kills everybody, goes in a cop and just wipes them. Just a badass scene. It gets his just dessert, which the Terminator was more on VHS than in the movies and turned that whole franchise around. What other, let's see, Braveheart, Mel Gibson, Sir William Wallace got his boys and went, and formed a thing to fight tyranny. So that's always a good movie. And also, I said it, the Wild Bunch is Western. The Wild Bunch, when four guys go against the bad Mexicans and stuff, and they get killed at the end. And then also, The Magnificent Seven is a guy movie where they help out a community that's getting bullied, and they stand up to bullies, and they it's a good classic movie. And I think that's about it for the greatest guy movies. I mean, that's every movie I said had had guys in prominently strong roles. They weren't fucking crying. I mean, they were kicking ass and taking names, and maybe they were drinking a little bit in the original Godfather. They just wiped it out, and stuff like that. So those are my movies off the top of my head, Mark. Hopefully, I answered to the best of my ability. But like I said, this is Ask Bubba Anything, and I got more questions to be answered. And I love all the people that gave me all these topics. And this is the first time I ever did it on the Triple B Experience. But I just want to give a shout out and thanks everybody. Hit Facebook. If you have any questions, contact me at badbubba77@gmail.com. You can get on my Facebook because I try to promote this all the time, because I do promote the Triple B Experience and the Triple B Double D Heavyweight podcast shows. Those are the two podcasts that we're doing. This one here talks about my experiences, about all my stuff I love, and the other one talks about pro wrestling, and we give wrap-ups about the WWE, which we're going to be taping this Sunday because it'll be February 15th when we tape 5 o'clock. So everybody, thanks. This is Bad Bubba Brewer. Get ready for the third segment of Ask Bubba Anything podcast show on the Triple B Experience, episode 20.
The Triple B Experience.
We'll return after these messages.
Looking for a creative idea for meetings, business lunches, and special events? Call Spiels on Wheels, food truck and catering, and take the stress away. For more information, call them at 724-244-9881 or on Facebook at facebook.com/spielson.wheels.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Triple B Experience. You're listening to Ask Bubba Anything, and the reason why I'm doing this show is it's because it's something different. And I know a lot of podcast shows that I listen to actually do this once in a while the fans and listeners ask the questions, like on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, or Ask Arn Anything, the great legendary enforcer Arn Anderson, and then also on his radio show, Mark Madden. So, hey, I'm just trying to make something and trying to make it entertaining. And you're getting the honest answers of your questions. And I do appreciate it. And I'll probably do this again because I still talk about the stuff I love to talk about, the Steelers, pro wrestling, a little bit independent wrestling stories, movies, comic books, TV shows, and stuff that I love and stuff that I've done. Or if somebody pisses me off, a little bit of rant, which people enjoy the when I rant and go off. And that's just sometimes I have to do that. And honestly, it has to be done. It just has to be done. Hey, it is what it is. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you, but you'll learn to love it. But listen to the Triple B Experience on iHeartRadio, the idiotradio.net app. You can download it, YouTube, and all the other social media devices that you listen to other podcasts, and also SoundCloud because I got over 100 listening on that, and it took me 19 months, and I do thank you guys. We got 3,700 in the Triple B Double D Heavyweight Podcast when we went and did it on Facebook. So we're trying to make a mark on this podcast stuff. You never know. Okay, back to the Ask Bubba Anything. This question here was brought to you by Dominic Contanzarini. I just know briefly of him. Okay, Dom's question was 80s toys versus the toys of today. My answer is the toys of today suck. They fucking suck, Dom. And I'm not even going with the 80s toys because I'll go back to the 70s toys because I'm a little older than you, Dom. I wish I had about 10 Darth Vaders still in the package, maybe 20 Boba Fett's, or I wish I had the original Boba Fett that had the rocket launcher. All the Star Wars figures stacked up in boxes and totes for $1.99 at Hills, and then I could have paid off my house quicker than ever because that shit would have been worth money. How would I know? Now, the 80s, you had He-Man, you had G.I. Joe, okay, you had, you definitely had Star Wars here and there. I think today you have more collectibles. I do have a lot of Marvel Legends stuff that's worth some money that I'm never, ever going to take out. So actually, the toys, I wish I'd never played with them, Dom, back then and saved them. I do have a shoebox full of Star Wars action figures. And also back then they had Battlestar Galactica. And I also had Buck Rogers. So I'm here to tell you, Dom, and everybody that listening, I used to have the Kit-Kat. When I lived in Ernest, Pennsylvania, I had the fucking best toys. I had the best toys around. I had Star Wars. I had Village People. Village People had their own little sets like Safari, News, Construction. My parents gave me I had the fucking Death Star station. Now, I never had the Millennium Falcon, but I had the Death Star station. And I wish I still would have had a couple of them. I was into Star Wars, still am to this day. But I'm going to say the 70s and 80s toys are better and they're like way cheaper, for $1.90. Now you get a Marvel figure, it's like $20. Who in the fuck has $20 to buy an action figure? Like, seriously, people. Like, I do buy the McFarlane Steelers stuff, and I keep them. So, in a collectible sense, maybe they look better, but the older ones are worth more. So, hopefully that answered your question. The 70s and 80s toys were great to collect. They didn't look as good, but now the toys have now looked good. But really, they're not toys, Dom. They're collectibles. And we all would have been rich. Okay. Good question, Dom. And if you want to buy any, Dom, I still have some in totes downstairs. So, okay, from Lisa Krause, I have a question about Coach Cowher getting in the Hall of Fame. What's my opinion on that? I love it. I love Coach Cowher. I've always been Cowher Power. I'm happy that he got in. I wish he would have won a couple more AFC Championship games, but he fucking loved Cordell Stewart so much, and that was his Achilles right there, I believe. But yes, I'm happy that he got in. I hope he's going out to Canton to see Troy Polamalu because Troy got in. Me and Tammy are definitely going. We got a whole bunch of shit to do this summer, and I'm sure I'll talk about that in another podcast show. But yes, I'm very happy that Coach Cowher got into the Hall of Fame. Okay, Chris Elliott wants to know about the local music scene. Ooh, this is a hard one. I know when I was the bar manager of K Arena, we had music all the time. There's not too many places around here that do them. We just went out to the Ramada Inn in Indiana. They're done by 11 o'clock. And then, it's good for people that have to go to work. But if you want to fucking drink and party, yeah, I don't know how that works. But I honestly, this place needs more bands, but I don't need to see the same fucking band every weekend. It's not like Down to the Wire, and the only reason why we went to Down to the Wire at that time is we were single and chasing women, and that's where the women went. I mean, that's fucking logical, isn't it, people? Like, yeah, it is what it is. So the local music scene, there's a few places in Indiana, but nothing major like it used to be. I think you got to go out of town, Chris. Greensburg area, maybe up north, definitely Pittsburgh, because right now is a season to go see major concerts, and I'm sure I'll be talking about that in podcasts later on. So the music scene could be a little better, but at least it's not worse. So okay. So I got this question from JP Homats. Whatever happened to Church Softball League? Honestly, I have no fucking clue. I don't know. I never played Church Softball League because I don't go to church. And I know softball used to be huge, but I don't think softball is that big anymore because people got to work all the time. And realistically, what do you get paid in a softball league? It's just like independent wrestling. You probably got a fucking hot dog and a fucking Coke. Yeah, so I don't know much about the church softball league unless you want to start one up. But probably nobody wants to play, and everybody that could play are like over 40 and older like me. I can't run around the base anymore. Shit, I can't do it. And that's why this next question that you had was the death of backyard sports. Well, the death of backyard sports is because kids are fucking lazy and they don't want to fucking do nothing, and they want to play video games, and they don't want to do any chores because they're afraid I'm not doing that, mom and dad. You can't make me do that. See, the whole world is shitty. That's why there's no backyard sports anymore. That's why you don't see kids playing in their backyard anymore because they're too busy having the fucking remote control and they're playing video games. They don't get off their ass. But you do have high school kids that bust their ass in sports. So there's no happy medium. You got kids that are lazy, then you got kids that play sports. And if you're lazy kids, get on a computer, diagram some kind of video game that you can make $1 million, you know what I mean, and do something like that. So, and also, my autographs and the stories behind them. I've had a lot of autographs. Sometimes I stand in line, or sometimes I go to Steel City Con, and sometimes when I used to do independent wrestling and a big name was there, I would just get a picture with them and I would do that. But I do have a lot of stuff that I have in my upstairs in the studio and downstairs. But yeah, so yeah, but that is what it is. So anyway, 2 questions by Jeff Coy. Le'Veon Bell maybe coming back to Pittsburgh. What's my thoughts on that? I don't think that's a good idea because the line's not the same, and it's been 2 years, and we'll just do what we need. Maybe just sign a veteran back. We don't need Le'Veon Bell unless you get him cheap. That's my answer on that one. And why is Chris Jericho such a great heel in All Elite Wrestling? Because Chris Jericho is the fucking shit. Chris Jericho is the fucking man. Good face, heel, whatever. He's Chris fucking Jericho, and he is the man. And he's great for that company. And him being champion and shooting promos like that is awesome. I have a question by Sarah Fritz about The Boy 2. And The Boy 2 probably sucks just like The Boy 1 because The Boy 1 was the fucking worst movie I ever seen because I just want to watch a movie about a little toy and a guy who never gets out of his house and crawls through the house and nobody knows it's him. I'm not into horror flicks. It's just stupid. I know Sarah loves it. It's entertaining, and I think it won an Oscar. I don't know, but The Boy 2, I hated The Boy 1, and they can make The Boy 58. I'm still not paying for it. I'm not watching. Look back at Three River Stadium since that was a memory, and it came on. I love Three River Stadium seats. I thought those were better than Heinz Field. I saw some great games. I saw the last game there. It was awesome. And I saw some games with my grandfather. And I also, this is a funny story, I also wore a Chicago Bears jersey in the 80s when the Chicago Bears played the Steelers. Yes, I did that. Yes, I was that guy. And I did like Chicago Bears because Pittsburgh pissed me off that one time, and they lost 20-0. They had Bobby Brister, and they couldn't do shit that day, and I wore my Walter Payton jersey. Walter Payton was one of the greatest running backs of all time. So that was, question was brought to you by Bad Brooke Divins and Josh Deegan. But yeah, those are my memories of my grandfather. That's why I'm a Steeler fan, because my grandfather was a season ticket holder since 1971. I do have 4 stadium seats downstairs in my Triple B bar. And I also have a Stadium Drive East sign brought to you by George Patterson when he was working on the stadiums down there. I do have it downstairs. I have a lot of memories going to Three River Stadium to watch Pirates. I see Willie Stargell. I see the Cobra, Dave Parker. And I seen the Pirates when they were good, ladies and gentlemen. And I also seen the Steelers when they were good and when they were bad. I did see Terry Bradshaw play. So, yeah. So, these questions are by Jay Sims. Why was Streakers closed? I don't know. Probably because maybe he didn't have a good clientele, or the strippers were not that good, I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing. And being in a stripping business, unless you're in a club in Pittsburgh and rolling into money, I don't think it's going to make it on 22, Jay. I'm just saying. But I know the Beehive is still in, because when I drive past, they're still going. But I don't know why. But also what people wanted to be in contrast to what they really become. Jay, I believe some people just have to get backbones and just find the particular fortitude to do what they want to do in life and not worry what people think. Contrast to what I am, people think I must be an asshole all the time. I'm not an asshole. I don't bitch about everything. I just bitch when people are fucking stupid, and after you tell them 100 times and they don't do something right. And who likes to be screwed, people? The only time you need to want to be screwed is if it's someone else, your significant other or something or whatever. That's the only screwing that you would want, because nobody wants to get screwed on their job or life in general. So if you want to do something in life, do it. And then if you're a putz, toughen up, I guess. And also, and that question was brought to you by Jay Sims, and this question was brought to you by Steve Schatz. What is my opinion on the fisticuffs between Antonio Brown and Logan Paul? I could give a fuck less, but Antonio Brown's probably in better shape, but probably not in football shape now, because he hasn't played football in a while, and anybody can get a lucky punch. And maybe if they fight, maybe it's all for charity, but Antonio Brown needs the money. So that's my take on that, by Steve Schatz. I want to thank everybody that asked Bubba anything the first time I ever did this. Hopefully we can do it again, because I'm always looking for other stuff to do to be entertaining, and I want you people to listen and help out and share or like I said, you go to Facebook, ask me something, ask me questions at badbubba77@gmail.com. Check us out on idiotradio.net. I will send people out in private messengers on SoundCloud. I forward that and try to get more than 100. My goal now is 150, and then I just keep going because I just keep persevering. I keep driven. So listen to that on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, and idiotradio.net. And also listen to the Triple B Double D Heavyweight Podcast Show. We're trying to break 5,000. It'll be coming to you on February 15th. So thanks, everybody. You're listening to the Triple B Experience. This show was Ask Bubba Anything. I think it was a success. I'm glad you like it. Till we meet again, everybody have a great day.